You're telling me there's 75 more minutes of planes, trains, and automobiles, and we're just seeing this now? Hey, I'm Mike. I studied film, I worked in TV, and I love movies. When I first started writing this, I was excited to see the additional material. But now that I've seen it, I'm here to tell you, we've been robbed. We've been robbed of a comedy classic. Today, we're talking about Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, John Hughes' perennial Thanksgiving classic. On Thanksgiving weekend 1987, the world was gifted Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. The combination of John Hughes' writing and directing, along with the comedy talents of Steve Martin and John Candy, made this an instant classic. And, I would argue, the official start of the holiday season, no matter what they tell you about that Mariah Carey song. But let's put this in perspective. The Planes, Trains, and Automobiles that we saw in 1987 was 93 minutes long. Pretty typical for a comedy. But in 2022, Paramount released a Blu-ray DVD with 75 minutes of additional material. Since it's Thanksgiving, let's make an analogy. That would be like having a pumpkin pie and then saying, guess what? There's 80% more pumpkin pie. Yay! I mean, how would you feel if you found out there was 80% more Mona Lisa? 80% more of Abbey Road? 80% more of anything that you love? There are 10 major sequences I want to go through, and we're going to quickly decide whether they're Thanksgiving dinner or leftovers. Should they have stayed in the film, or should they have been cut? Let's get into it. First, waiting to board. While they're in the waiting room, before they board the plane, Neil realizes Del is the guy that stole his cab, and Del tries to make up for it.
No, I'm fine, thank you. Couple of beers. We'll kill some time. Suck back a few brew, have a pickled egg or two.
There's a little more chatter here, which is probably could have been left on the cutting room floor. John Candy, as always, is amazing. The scene's probably a leftover. Second, seatmates. When Neil boards the plane, there's a little more with the flight attendant.
Where's that Pepsi I ordered?
Probably better it was cut. It doesn't really do anything for us. I would say that's a leftover. Neil then makes his way to his seat, where his path crosses with Del's for a third time.
Is this a coincidence or what?
There is 5 minutes of pure gold from John Candy that we have never seen before, including this.
Neil. Would that be a Gaelic name?
Is a scene where John Candy is talking about some marketing for his business that he did, and he pulls out a shower curtain ring calendar. Then goes on to talk about the impact Psycho had on the shower curtain industry.
When that movie hit the screen, people saw that shower murder. It left a crap stain on the reputation of shower curtains the size of Texas.
It's an absolutely amazing scene, and I feel robbed for not having seen it in the first place. This is absolutely Thanksgiving dinner, and 5 more minutes would have been 5 more minutes of gold. Then there's this.
Do you use curtains or doors in your home? Curtains or doors? Doors?
Doors.
Doors. That's no sweat off my nose.
It's pure magic, and I really wish they had kept this in. It's Thanksgiving dinner for sure. Immediately following, we get a deleted scene titled Airplane Food. Neil is squished between John Candy and character actor Bill Irwin. Turns out he's a very picky eater, and John Candy gives away his food to Bill Irwin, and there's some funny stuff there, but ultimately it's a leftover scene. We also get more of the flight attendant character here, and I think it's important here to talk about John Hughes' secondary characters. They're always so fleshed out, so good, so memorable. Speaking of secondary characters, we get more Doobie's Taxiola. It's such a great scene. Doobie's Taxiola was always one of my favorite scenes, and we get so little of it. There's a ton more. Doobie shows us some of the local sites, which are hilarious.
Yeah, now, you know Harvey Nose Quaitman? Ever hear of that guy? He was a bodyguard for Al Capone near Chicago. Found his trigger finger in a pickle barrel right in that factory right there.
The scene does get a little dark, though. Doobie talks about how he could kill Neil and nobody would ever find him because they're in the middle of nowhere. I probably would have cut this too. There's also a little bit more how Doobie's sort of taking them in circles and ringing up the fare. And, in the original release film, we liked Doobie. And now I've got a different opinion of him. He's a scammer. He's special. There's something wrong with him. And it does get dark. So I am glad they cut it, but I would have done everything in my power to keep this in.
You looking at my hair?
Okay, now we're getting into it. The Braidwood Inn Part 1. This has been one of my gripes about the film ever since I saw it in '87. There's a scene where they're in the hotel room, they have to share a room, and Steve Martin's in the shower. And when he gets out of the shower, the bathroom's a mess. But wouldn't he have known it was a mess when he got into the shower? Aha. There's a whole scene where Del barges into the bathroom.
Coming in.
Del.
Yeah. I'm in here. That's okay. You're not bothering me.
It's really, really funny and absolutely needs to be in. This plays right into the very necessary scene where Del orders a pizza, gets into an argument with the pizza guy, who later comes back to rob them, then puts the beer on the vibrating bed, which shakes, causing it to explode, so then Neil ends up sleeping in a puddle of beer. We absolutely need to see this. This scene should have been in, and it creates a gaping hole in the film. I don't know why they took it out. It's funny and necessary for the plot. It furthermore goes on where Neil comes out of the bathroom and we see just how particular he is. It's one of the few deleted scenes where Steve Martin gets to shine. He's carefully folding his pants and they're eating some food and he doesn't want to put the pizza on the cardboard because he thinks it's dirty, so he puts it on his shirt. It's just a great scene. You should go and see it.
Ask you to order me a salad.
They didn't have any salads.
What about the fettuccine aglio olio?
They never heard of fettuccine.
The Braidwood Inn Part 1 is absolutely 1000% Thanksgiving dinner and should not have been cut out. The Braidwood Inn Part 2, on the other hand, is a whole different story. We get a lot more of Del Griffith's pre-sleep ritual and what eventually leads to Neil exploding out of bed and instigates their fight. But specifically, this is what sets Neil off.
Neil? What? I have got to fart something fierce.
14-year-old me would have loved this scene. Who am I kidding? 52-year-old me loves this scene. Should it have been in? I don't know. But I get why they cut it out. It goes on into their very serious argument. I don't think we need more than what's in the film. It goes on and on and on. They berate the point more and more and more. And as it is, it's an uncomfortable scene. They eventually get back into bed. And then there's this.
Del,
What?
I apologize to you for those things I said.
Yeah, Neil apologizes, as does Del, for their fight. Now, movies are about tension. You gotta keep that tension going. And so I'm really glad they cut this out. This is definitely leftover. For another reason, though, that's not how guys resolve issues. This is how guys resolve issues.
Those aren't pillows.
See that Bears game last week? Yeah, hell of a game.
We don't talk about things. We just sort of bond over shared experiences. I think what was left in the original film is 1000% better than what could have been. So this is a leftover scene. Number 7, broke at breakfast. They realize they've been robbed and they're at a diner, and there's a full scene which we have never seen with Gigi, the waitress.
Hi. Gigi?
No, honey, it's Giggy.
Gigi. I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is Wichita, not Paris.
It's fantastic and funny, and again, plays into John Hughes' strength for creating these secondary characters, but is it necessary? Probably not. It's a leftover. Number 8, 99 bottles of beer on the wall. When they're in the bus and they're singing, Del Griffith begins at 99 bottles of beer on the wall, and only the way John Hughes can do it, it devolves into when they get to 1, the whole bus is singing very lethargic. It's a funny scene, but absolutely not necessary. Total leftover. 9, El Rancho Motel. This is a tough one. Del's been left outside, Neil brings him in, and they're reconciling again, and they get a little drunk. There's a little more of their antics here, which I'm glad they cut. Totally left over, but it intercuts with a scene of Neil's wife in their house with, I assume, is her mother, and they're up late at night, and she reveals that she thinks Neil's not in love with her anymore.
He didn't call tonight because he's scared to tell me the truth.
What's the truth?
People fall out of love.
She sort of insinuates that this Del character is a woman that Neil's running away with, and that when he returns, she's going to pack the kids up and leave. 1000% no. 1000% no. 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 It's a leftover. Finally, 10. The Oshkonoggin cheese truck. When they finally get a ride back to Chicago, there's a little more antics inside the truck as Del Griffith is trying to keep Neil Page's spirits up, and they're sitting in the freezing cold. He sings the Oshkonoggin theme song, and this is definitely a leftover. I think we all can agree that Planes, Trains, and Automobiles would have been way too long at 3 hours and 45 minutes. But at 93 minutes, we missed some really, really good stuff in here. To sum up my feelings about the 93-minute version of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, I'll defer to the one and only Del Griffith.
I know it's not pretty to look at, but it'll get you where you want to go.
Once again, thanks for watching, guys. Film is about community, so please comment, like, subscribe, do all the things. Till next time, I'm Mike. I love film.